The alarm screamed through every corridor of the CNS Defiance. Admiral Chun gripped the railing of her command deck as another explosion rocked the ship. The main view screen showed a sight that would haunt humanity's nightmares for generations to come. Dozens of alien warships filled the space around Earth, their dark hulls covered in glowing red symbols that pulsed like angry wounds. "Defense Platform 7 is gone," Lieutenant Park reported, his voice steady despite the terror in his eyes. "Platform 9 is reporting critical damage. They're evacuating." Chun watched another bright flash bloom in the distance. That was Platform 9. No one evacuated in time. The Kryloth Dominion had arrived 3 days ago with a fleet that outnumbered humanity's defenses 5-1. Their ships were massive things built like floating fortresses. Their weapons could punch through Earth's strongest shields like paper. Their demands had been simple: surrender or die. Earth's answer had been to fight. Status of the civilian evacuation? Chun asked. 70% complete in the major cities, Park replied. But the Kryloth are moving into bombardment positions. If they start firing on the surface, he didn't need to finish. Everyone on the bridge knew what would happen. The alien weapons could turn entire cities into glass craters in minutes. Chun looked at the tactical display. The defense platforms were gone or dying. Earth's orbital fleet was down to 37 ships from the original 82. Most of those were civilian vessels that had been quickly fitted with whatever weapons the military could bolt onto them. Cargo haulers with missile pods, mining ships with improvised railguns, even a few luxury cruise liners whose owners had volunteered to fight. The CNS Defiance itself was dying. Engineering reported that the main reactor was leaking radiation. The portside weapons were offline. The ship had maybe an hour before they'd need to abandon it. Completely an hour Earth didn't have. Incoming transmission. From the Kryloth command ship, the communications officer announced. "Put it through." Chun said. The view screen changed to show a Kryloth overlord. The alien was huge, easily 8 feet tall, with 4 arms and skin that looked like rough stone. Its eyes glowed an angry orange as it stared at Chun. "Human commander," the Kryloth said in perfect English, its translator making the words sound cold and mechanical. "Your resistance is pointless. Your defenses are broken. Your fleet is scattered. Surrender now, and we will allow your species to serve the Dominion. Refuse, and we will burn your world until nothing remains but ash and memory." Chun met the alien's gaze without flinching. "I'll tell you what I told you 3 days ago. Humanity doesn't kneel to anyone. Not now, not ever." The Kryloth's mouth opened in what might have been a smile. "Then you will die on your feet." A waste, but an entertaining one. The transmission ended. "Admiral, the Kryloth fleet is advancing to final bombardment range," Park said. "Estimate 5 minutes until they're in position to fire on the surface." 5 minutes. Chun looked at the tactical display again. There was nothing left to throw at the enemy. No secret weapons. No hidden fleet. No miracle. "All ships," Chun ordered. "This is Admiral Chun, I won't lie to you. We're out of options. But we can still buy time for the people on the ground. Every second we keep fighting is another second for families to get to shelters, for children to get to safety. Our job isn't to win anymore. Our job is to make sure humanity survives even if we don't." She paused, looking at her crew. "Good people. Brave people. People who deserve to see tomorrow. It's been an honor serving with all of you. Helm, set ramming course for the Kryloth command ship. All power to forward shields and engines." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew what she was ordering. The Defiance would become a missile. One last act of defiance before the end. "Course laid in, Admiral," the helmsman said quietly. "All non-essential personnel to the escape pods," Chun ordered. "Launch when ready? The rest of us are seeing this through." "Admiral, the crew is refusing to evacuate," Park reported. "They say if you're staying, they're staying." Chun felt her throat tighten. "Tell them they're all crazy." "And tell them thank you." The Defiance turned, its dying engines pushing the ship toward the massive Kryloth command vessel. Around them, the remnants of Earth's fleet did the same. 37 ships against hundreds. It wouldn't be enough. But it would be something. The Kryloth fleet opened fire. Space filled with energy beams and missiles. The Defiance shook as shot after shot hammered its shields. "Forward shields at 40%, Park called out. 30%, 20. Chen watched the Kryloth command ship grow larger on the view screen. 20 seconds to impact. 15. Admiral. The sensor officer's voice cracked with surprise. I'm reading a massive energy signature. It just appeared out of nowhere, between us and the Kryloth fleet. What kind of signature? Chun demanded. I don't know. It's huge. Bigger than anything I've ever seen. It's like space just folded open and something stepped through. The view screen adjusted automatically, pulling back to show the new contact. Chen's breath caught in her throat. A ship was materializing in the middle of the battle. Not appearing slowly like a vessel coming out of FTL. Just suddenly there, as if reality had decided to add something new to the universe. The ship was enormous. It dwarfed even the Kryloth dreadnoughts. Its hull was dark gray, scarred with what looked like decades of damage and repair. The design was strange, angular in some places and curved in others, like someone had taken 3 different ship types and welded them together. Can you identify it? Chun asked. The sensor officer worked frantically at his console. I'm picking up a transponder signal. It's old. Really old? The format dates back to before the first colony ships. The ship is identifying itself as the Persistence. Chun felt ice run down her spine. The Persistence. That name was in the history books. It was one of the Lost Fleet, the 13 colony ships that had vanished during the Exodus crisis almost 200 years ago. Ships that had never reached their destination. Ships that everyone assumed had been destroyed. That's impossible, Park whispered. The Lost Fleet has been gone for 2 centuries. I'm reading weapon systems coming online, the sensor officer reported. A lot of weapon systems. Admiral, that ship is powering up to fire. The Kryloth had noticed the new arrival too. Chun could see their fleet hesitating, their tight formation spreading out as they tried to identify the threat. The Persistence hung in space between Earth and its enemies, silent and still. Then every weapon port on its hull lit up like stars. Chun grabbed the railing as the ghost ship from humanity's past opened fire, and the battle for Earth's survival took a turn no one had expected. The first shot from the Persistence was beautiful in a terrible way. A beam of pure blue energy lanced across space and struck a Kryloth battlecruiser dead center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire ship simply came apart, torn into pieces by forces Chun didn't recognize. What kind of weapon was that? Park breathed. The sensor officer shook his head, staring at his readings. I don't know. The energy signature doesn't match anything in our database. It's like the beam went right through their shields without even touching them. The Persistence fired again and again. Each shot destroyed or crippled a Kryloth warship. The alien fleet, which had been advancing confidently toward Earth just moments ago, suddenly found itself under attack from something they couldn't defend against. Chun's communications officer called out, Admiral, the Kryloth command ship is broadcasting. They're demanding identification from the unknown vessel. Let me hear it, Chen ordered. The Kryloth overlord's voice filled the bridge, but this time the cold confidence was replaced with anger. Unknown vessel, identify yourself immediately. You are interfering with Dominion military operations. State your allegiance or be destroyed. The Persistence didn't respond with words. Instead, it launched a spread of projectiles from what looked like railguns mounted along its spine. The projectiles accelerated to impossible speeds, crossing the distance to the Kryloth fleet in seconds. When they hit, they tore through the alien ships like bullets through cloth. Those railguns, the weapons officer said, his voice filled with awe. They're firing at near light speed? The kinetic energy alone is enough to punch through any armor we've ever seen. The Kryloth fleet began to return fire, concentrating their weapons on the Persistence. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles converged on the mysterious ship. Chun expected to see its shields fail, to see the hull tier open under that kind of firepower. Instead, the Persistence simply absorbed the attack. Its shields shimmered with strange patterns, deflecting or redirecting the energy. Where shots did get through, they left scorch marks on the already scarred hull but seemed to cause no real damage. "That ship has been through hell," Park observed. "Look at the hull plating. Those aren't recent damage marks. Some of those scars look decades old." He was right. Now that Chin looked closer, she could see that the Persistence was covered in the evidence of old battles. Repaired sections, replaced armor plates, burn marks that had been painted over and burned again. This wasn't a fresh ship coming to save them. This was a veteran that had been fighting for a very long time. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer said. "Narrow beam, directed at our ship and the rest of the fleet. It's from the Persistence." "Put it through," Shun ordered. Static filled the bridge for a moment, then a voice came through. It was human, but strange. The accent was wrong, like someone speaking English the way it had been spoken centuries ago. And there was a mechanical quality to it, as if the transmission was being filtered through very old equipment. "Earth Fleet, this is Persistence. Regroup behind our position. Transmitting tactical data now. Follow our lead and we'll get you through this." The data began flooding into the Defiance's computers. Targeting solutions, weak points in the Kryloth ships, formation strategies. Everything Earth's forces needed to turn this battle from a last stand into an actual fight. "Who are you?" Chun asked. "Where did you come from?" There was a pause. When the voice responded, it sounded almost sad. "We're the ones who never made it home. But we never forgot our promise. Regroup now. Questions later. The Kryloth are reorganizing." The transmission ended. Chun looked at her crew. They were all staring at her, waiting for orders. Outside, the Persistence had already destroyed or disabled a dozen Kryloth warships. The alien fleet was pulling back, trying to form a defensive line. "You heard them," Chun said. "All ships fall back to Rally Point Theta. Form up behind the Persistence. Tactical, start uploading that data to the fleet. Let's show these aliens what humanity can do when we work together." The Defiance turned away from its ramming course, its damaged engines pushing it toward the safety of the massive unknown vessel. Around them, the rest of Earth's fleet did the same. Cargo haulers, mining ships, destroyers, all of them moving to reform behind their unexpected savior. The Kryloth commander wasn't about to let them escape. His fleet surged forward, trying to catch the human ships before they could regroup. But the Persistence moved to intercept. Despite its massive size, the ship was fast, positioning itself between the aliens and Earth's forces. "They're protecting us," Park said, drawing all the fire. Chun watched as the Persistence unleashed another barrage. This time she noticed something about how it fought. The tactics were human but refined and perfected. Every shot had a purpose. Every movement was calculated. The ship fought like someone who had studied war for a lifetime and learned how to do it perfectly. The Kryloth tried to flank it, sending a squadron of fast attack ships around the Persistence's left side. Before they could complete the maneuver, the mysterious vessel launched a spread of missiles that turned and tracked their targets with impossible precision. Every single Kryloth ship in that squadron was destroyed in less than 30 seconds. "Those are old Mark 7 missiles," the weapons officer said in disbelief. "But they're modified, enhanced. I've never seen tracking systems that good." The Earth fleet reached the rally point and began forming up. With the tactical data from the Persistence, they could see exactly where to hit the Kryloth ships to cause the most damage. A mining vessel with improvised railguns targeted a battlecruiser's reactor. The shot went through a weak point in the armor that Earth's forces had never known existed. The enemy ship exploded in a ball of fire. A cargo hauler fired its missiles at a destroyer, hitting the exact spot where the alien ship's shield generators connected to the hull. The shields collapsed and the destroyer became an easy target for the rest of the fleet. For the first time since the battle began, The Kryloth were the ones taking casualties. For the first time, Earth's forces were winning. Chun pulled up a tactical view of the whole battle. The Kryloth fleet was still larger, still more powerful. But they were confused now, disorganized. The sudden appearance of the Persistence had thrown their entire strategy into chaos. The alien commander tried to rally his forces, pulling them into a defensive formation. But the Persistence didn't give them time. The ship advanced, its weapons never stopping. Every shot found a target. Every target was destroyed or disabled. The Kryloth are breaking formation, Park reported. Some of their ships are pulling back. They're not pulling back, Chun corrected, watching the tactical display. They're retreating. She was right. The Kryloth fleet, which had seemed unstoppable just minutes ago, was now fleeing. Ships that had been advancing on Earth were now turning and burning hard for the outer system. The Persistence pursued them, its weapons continuing to fire. Earth's fleet followed, striking at any Kryloth ship that fell behind. The battle became a rout. The aliens who had come to conquer Earth were now running for their lives, desperately trying to escape the ghost ship that had appeared from nowhere. To destroy them, Chun opened a channel to the Persistence. Thank you. You saved us. You saved Earth. We owe you everything. The response came after a long pause. You owe us nothing? We were just keeping a promise. A promise made a long time ago by people who never gave up hope of coming home. Chun felt tears on her cheeks. Who are you really? The Lost Fleet, the voice said simply. We've been waiting for this moment for almost 200 years. The pursuit lasted for 6 hours. The Persistence chased the Kryloth fleet all the way to the heliopause, the edge of Earth's solar system. Every time the aliens tried to slow down and regroup, the mysterious human ship would strike again, scattering them like frightened animals. Admiral Chun watched from the bridge of the Defiance as Earth's fleet followed in the wake of their savior. The ship had taken so much damage that it could barely keep up, but Chun refused to turn back. She needed to see this through, needed to understand what was happening. The Kryloth are jumping to FTL, the sensor officer reported. They're leaving the system. Chun let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Confirm they're really gone. Make sure this isn't a trick? The sensor officer worked his console for several minutes, then nodded. Confirmed, Admiral. The Kryloth fleet has left the system. Long-range sensors show them still running. They're not coming back. A cheer went up on the bridge. People were hugging, crying, laughing. Earth had survived. Against impossible odds, humanity had won, but Chun couldn't celebrate yet. She was staring at the Persistence, which had stopped at the edge of the system and was just floating there, its weapons finally going silent. Get me a channel to that ship, Chun ordered. I need to talk to whoever is in command. It took a few tries, but finally the communications officer got a stable link. Channel open, Admiral. Persistence, this is Admiral Chun of the CNS Defiance. We need to talk. You saved Earth, and we deserve to know who you are. Please respond. For a long moment there was only static. Then that same filtered, ancient-sounding voice came through. Admiral Chun, this is Captain Sarah Reeves of the Persistence. I suppose we do owe you an explanation, but not overcomes. If you want answers, come aboard. Bring a small team. We'll lower our shields and provide docking coordinates. Chun looked at her crew. Lieutenant Park, you have the bridge? I'm taking a shuttle over. Commander Williams, you're with me. Pick 4 more people for security. Park stepped forward. Admiral, with respect, we have no idea who these people really are. This could be dangerous. They just saved Earth, Chun replied. If they wanted to hurt us, they had plenty of chances. I'm going. 20 minutes later, Chun's shuttle approached the Persistence. Up close, the ship was even more impressive and terrifying. It was huge, at least 3 kilometers long. The hull was covered in weapons, sensors, and equipment that Chun didn't recognize. And everywhere she looked, she saw signs of old damage and repairs. This ship has been through a war, Commander Williams said quietly. Multiple wars from the look of it. The shuttle docked with a port on the Persistence's port side. As Chin and her team stepped through the airlock, they found themselves in a corridor that looked like it belonged in a museum. The walls were made of materials Earth hadn't used in ship construction for over a century. The lights were older models. Even the air smelled different. Recycled through systems that were ancient by modern standards, a woman was waiting for them. She was young, maybe 30, with dark hair tied back in a practical style. She wore a uniform that was clearly military, but in a design Chun had only seen in history books. The woman saluted. "Admiral Chun, I'm Captain Sarah Reeves. Welcome aboard the Persistence." Chun returned the salute. "Captain Reeves, you have about 1,000,000 questions to answer. Starting with how a ship from the Lost Fleet is here right now, with weapons and technology that shouldn't exist." Reeves smiled sadly. "I know. Follow me. I'll show you everything." She led them deeper into the ship. As they walked, Chen noticed the crew. There weren't many of them visible, but those she saw all wore the same old-style uniforms. They all looked at the visitors with a mixture of curiosity and something else. Hope, maybe, or fear. "How many crew do you have?" Chun asked. "Currently?" "About 12,000, Reeves replied. "That's everyone on all our ships combined." "All your ships?" "There are more." 3 more, Reeves confirmed. "The endurance, the resilience, and the determination. They're waiting in nearby systems. We weren't sure how this would go, so we didn't bring everyone at once." They reached a large room that looked like a combination of a command center and a museum. One wall was covered in screens showing star maps and tactical data. Another wall was covered in photographs. Thousands of them. People in old-style uniforms, families, children. "This is our memorial hall," Reeves said. "Every person who lived and died on these ships over the past 180 years. My great-great-grandmother is up there. She was part of the original crew when the fleet vanished." Chun stared at the wall of faces. "What happened to you?" "The Lost Fleet was supposed to reach Alpha Centauri. Instead, you just disappeared. Everyone thought you were dead." Reeves walked to a control panel and brought up a star map. "We were on our way to Alpha Centauri when we hit a spatial anomaly. We don't fully understand what it was, even now. Some kind of tear in space. It pulled us off course and damaged our FTL drives. By the time we got control back, we were lost. Hundreds of light years from Earth, hundreds of light years from our destination. With no way to get back." She pulled up more data. "We tried to send messages back to Earth, but we were too far away. We tried to reach Alpha Centauri, but our drives couldn't make the jump. We were stuck in deep space with 13 colony ships full of families who had signed up to start a new life, not to be lost forever." "So what did you do?" Williams asked. "We survived," Reeves said simply. "We combined the resources of all 13 ships. We stripped down the colony equipment and started building what we needed. Mining equipment to harvest asteroids, manufacturing facilities to build new parts, weapons to defend ourselves. We turned our colony fleet into a mobile civilization." Chun looked at the photographs on the wall. Generations of people who had been born and died in space, never seeing Earth or any planet. "That must have been hard." "It was hell," Reeves said bluntly. "The first generation thought they'd find a way home within a few years. The second generation hoped. By the third generation, my parents' generation, hope was starting to fade. But then something changed." She brought up new data on the screens. "About 50 years ago, we picked up long-range sensor readings of a fleet moving through this region of space. It took us years to decode their communications, but when we did, we learned about the Kryloth Dominion, a massive empire that was expanding toward Earth." Chun felt ice in her stomach. "You knew they were coming." "We knew," Reeves confirmed. "And we knew Earth wouldn't be ready. So we made a decision. We would prepare. We would build weapons using everything we'd learned from surviving in deep space. We would study the Kryloth, learn their weaknesses, and wait. When they came for Earth, we would be there. For 50 years? Chun asked. Your people spent 50 years preparing for a battle they might never fight? It was the only thing that gave us purpose, Reeves said. We were the lost fleet. We couldn't go home, but we could protect home. We could make sure that even if we never saw Earth again, Earth would survive. She gestured to the memorial wall. Every person up there lived and died knowing they would never see the planet their ancestors left. But they also knew that their sacrifice meant something, that they were keeping humanity safe, even from the darkness of space. June felt tears on her face. All those people, all those years, just waiting to save us? It wasn't just waiting, Reeves said. We trained. We built. We developed technology that Earth doesn't have yet because we needed it to survive. We studied the Kryloth through long-range sensors for decades, learning everything about how they fight. When we finally decloaked today, we knew exactly what to do. We knew every weakness in their fleet, every gap in their tactics. William spoke up. That's why you fought so well. You weren't just stronger. You were smarter. You'd been studying them all this time? Exactly, Reeves confirmed. The Kryloth are powerful, but they're predictable. They rely on superior numbers and firepower. They don't expect enemies who can think 3 steps ahead. We've been planning this battle for 50 years. They never had a chance. Chun looked at the young captain. What now? You completed your mission. You saved Earth. What do you do now? Reeves was quiet for a long moment. I don't know, she admitted. My whole life I've been training for this. My parents' whole lives. My grandparents' whole lives. We've been the guardians in the dark for so long. Now that the battle is over, I'm not sure what we're supposed to be. She looked at Chun with eyes that held generations of sacrifice. I guess the real question is, does Earth want us? We're not the people who left. We're something else now. Something that was forged in the dark between stars. Can we come home after all this time? Captain Reeves led Admiral Chun and her team deeper into the Persistence. They passed through corridors that showed the strange mix of old and new technology. Original colony ship systems running alongside military-grade weapons computers. Ancient hull plating reinforced with materials that didn't exist in any Earth database. I want to show you something, Reeves said. Something that will help you understand who we are. They entered a massive chamber that took Chun's breath away. It was a garden. A real garden with trees and flowers and even a small stream running through artificial rocks. The ceiling was covered in screens showing a blue sky with white clouds. It looked exactly like Earth. This is our memorial garden, Reeves explained. Every ship in our fleet has one. When someone dies, we plant a tree in their memory. There are over 40,000 trees now, across all 4 ships. Chin walked slowly through the garden, touching the leaves of trees that represented generations of sacrifice. Small plaques marked each tree with a name, a birth date, and a death date. Most people had lived full lives. Some had died young in accidents or illnesses. All of them had died far from home. Sarah Chun, Commander Williams read from one plaque. Born on the Persistence, died age 72. Engineer and teacher. She never saw Earth but made sure her children knew its stories. She was my grandmother's sister, Reeves said quietly. She developed the improved shield systems we use today. She spent 40 years working on them, knowing she'd never see them used in actual battle. They walked further, passing more trees. More names. More lives spent in service of a promise. How do you teach children about Earth when they've never seen it? Chun asked. How do you keep that connection alive? Reeves led them to a section of the garden where children were playing. Real children, laughing and running between the trees. We tell them stories. Show them videos and pictures from the original colony ships. Every child grows up learning Earth's geography, Earth's history, Earth's cultures. We teach them languages that most of Earth has probably forgotten by now. We make sure they know what home looks like, even if they've never been there. A little girl, maybe 6 years old, ran up to Reeves. Captain, is it true? Did we really save Earth? Reeves knelt down to the girl's level. Yes, Emma, we really did. Can we go there now? Can we see it? Maybe, Reeves said gently. We'll see. The girl ran off to tell her friends. Reeve stood up, and Chun could see the weight on her shoulders. They all want to see Earth. They've been told stories about it their whole lives. But I don't know if Earth is ready for 12,000 people, who are technically citizens but have been gone for 2 centuries. Tell me about your technology, Chun said. Some of the weapons you use today, the shield systems, even your sensors, they're beyond what Earth has. How did you develop them? Reeve started walking again, leading them out of the garden. Necessity. When you're alone in deep space with no support, you either innovate or die. We had the basic colony ship manufacturing systems and brilliant people with nothing but time. Over generations, we improved everything. They entered what looked like an engineering bay. Technicians were working on systems that made Chen's eyes hurt trying to understand them. Our quantum disruptors came from trying to solve a shielding problem, Reeves explained. One of our scientists figured out how to phase energy through normal matter. We turned it into a weapon. Our railguns are based on mining equipment we developed to break up asteroids. We just made them bigger and faster. An older man approached them. He had gray hair and wore an engineer's uniform covered in tool stains. Captain, the visitors are from Earth? Admiral Chun, this is Chief Engineer Marcus Webb, Reeves introduced. He's 5th generation like me. Webb shook Chen's hand with a grip that spoke of years of physical work. My great-great-grandfather was the chief engineer on the original colony ship. He's the one who figured out how to keep these old reactors running when we were supposed to shut them down after reaching Alpha Centauri. Without him, we all would have died in the first 10 years. Your ancestors were remarkable people, Chun said. They were desperate people, Webb corrected. That's what you need to understand about us. Everything we are, everything we've built, came from desperation. We weren't trying to become a military power. We were just trying to survive, and then trying to make sure that survival meant something. He gestured around the engineering bay. Every system on these ships has been rebuilt at least 5 times. We've had to learn to work with whatever we could find. Mine asteroids for materials? Recycle everything. Make do with less. Earth has had steady supply lines and established infrastructure for centuries. We've had to build everything from scratch in the middle of nowhere with limited resources. That's why you're so advanced in some areas, Williams realized. You had to be. You couldn't afford to fail. Exactly, Webb confirmed. When your shield generator breaks and the nearest replacement is 200 light-years away, you learn to build a better one yourself. When your sensors aren't powerful enough to detect threats in deep space, you improve them. Every problem we faced was a matter of survival. Reeves led them to another section of the ship. This one was clearly living quarters. They'd passed people cooking in communal kitchens, children doing homework, families gathered together in small apartments. It looked like a neighborhood in space. We're not just a military vessel, Reeves explained. We're a mobile society. Everyone on these ships has a job, but we also have schools, hospitals, farms, factories. We have artists and teachers and doctors. We have people who've never picked up a weapon in their lives. An elderly woman stopped them in the corridor. She looked at Chun's uniform, then at Chun's face, and tears started running down her cheeks. You're from Earth, from real Earth. Yes, Chun said gently. The woman reached out and touched Chun's sleeve, as if making sure she was real. My mother was born on Earth. She told me stories about rain. Real rain, not recycled water. About oceans that went on forever. About cities with millions of people. I always thought they were just stories. Beautiful dreams to keep us going. They're real, Chun assured her. All of it. And you saved it today. You saved all those oceans and cities and people. The woman smiled through her tears. Then it was worth it. All the years, all the sacrifice. It was worth it. She walked away and Chun felt her own tears return. How do they do it? How do they stay sane living like this? Purpose, Reeves said simply. From the moment we're born, we know why we exist. We're the guardians, the protectors. The ones who made sure humanity survived even when we couldn't be there ourselves. That purpose gave our ancestors strength. It gives us strength now. They entered a large room filled with computers and displays. It was clearly the ship's intelligence center. This is where we studied the Kryloth, Reeves explained. For 50 years, we tracked their fleet movements, intercepted their communications, analyzed their tactics. We built a complete profile of their military capabilities. The displays showed detailed information about Kryloth ship designs, weapon systems, command structures. It was more complete than anything Earth's intelligence services had managed to gather. They never knew we were watching, Reeves continued. Our stealth systems are good enough to hide us from their sensors. We shadowed their fleets for decades, learning everything about them. By the time they reached Earth, we knew them better than they knew themselves. This is incredible intelligence, Chun said. This could help Earth prepare for their next attack. It's yours, Reeves said. All of it. That's part of why we're here. Not just to fight, but to share everything we've learned. Earth needs to know what's out there. The Kryloth are just one threat. There are others. She pulled up a star map showing vast regions of space. The galaxy is more dangerous than Earth realizes. There are empires and threats that make the Kryloth look small. We've seen them from a distance, studied them. If Earth is going to survive, it needs to be ready. Chun looked at the map, at the countless potential threats marked in red. You want to help us prepare. We want to protect our home, Reeves said. That's all we've ever wanted. We can't change the fact that we were lost. We can't get back those 200 years. But we can make sure Earth survives whatever comes next. That's our purpose. That's what 5 generations of my family have lived and died for. She turned to face Chun directly. So I'll ask you again, Admiral. Does Earth want us? Can we come home and be part of humanity's future? Or are we too different now? Too strange? Too much of a reminder of what was lost. Chen looked at this young woman who carried the weight of generations on her shoulders, who had spent her entire life preparing to save a planet she'd never seen, who represented 12,000 people who had sacrificed everything for a promise. Yes, Chun said firmly. Earth wants you. Earth needs you. You're not lost anymore, Captain Reeves. You're home. 3 weeks after the battle, Admiral Chen stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station and watched 4 massive ships approach. The persistence, endurance, resilience, and determination came in slowly, their ancient hulls glinting in the sunlight. Every news camera on Earth was pointed at them. Every screen showed the return of the lost fleet. Sean had spent those 3 weeks in constant meetings. The Earth Council wanted to know everything about the lost fleet. Military command wanted their technology. Scientists wanted to study their ships. Politicians wanted to know how to handle 12,000 people, who technically had no legal status, but Chun had fought for something else. She had fought for them to be welcomed home as heroes. Admiral, the first shuttle from the Persistence is requesting permission to dock, the station commander reported. Permission granted, Chun said. And make sure the welcoming committee is ready. The shuttle docked. Chun walked to the airlock with a dozen other officials, all dressed in formal uniforms. When the airlock opened, Captain Sarah Reeves stepped through. Followed by several other crew members from the lost fleet, Reeves looked nervous. More nervous than she'd been facing the Kryloth. Admiral Chun. Captain Reeves, Chun replied. Then she saluted. Not the quick salute of one officer to another, but the deep, formal salute reserved for heroes. On behalf of the people of Earth, welcome home. Behind her, every officer present saluted as well. Reeves's eyes filled with tears as she returned the salute. Thank you. We never thought we'd hear those words. The next few hours were chaos. The crew members from the lost fleet were taken on tours of the station. They saw Earth through the viewports, that blue and white sphere they'd only known from pictures. Many of them cried. Some couldn't speak at all, just stared at the planet with expressions of wonder. Emma, the little girl Chun had met on the Persistence, pressed her face against a viewport. It's so blue, she whispered. The pictures didn't show how blue it is. Her mother stood beside her, also crying. My grandmother told me stories about Earth, but I never really believed it was real. I thought maybe it was just a dream we told ourselves. Chun found Reeves standing alone at one viewport, looking down at Earth. What are you thinking? Chun asked. I'm thinking about all the people who never got to see this, Reeves replied. My great-great-grandmother was 25 when the fleet vanished. She lived to be 90. 65 years in deep space, always believing she'd see Earth again someday. She never did. None of them did. But because of them, Earth survived, Chun said. Because they didn't give up, because they kept preparing and building and hoping, their descendants were here when we needed them most. I know, Reeves said. But I still wish they could have seen this. Over the following days, the integration began. It wasn't easy. The Lost Fleet's people spoke English, but their accent and some of their words were strange. They used technology Earth didn't have but lacked understanding of technology Earth took for granted. They knew everything about deep space survival, but nothing about life on a planet, but Earth welcomed them. Cities competed to host Lost Fleet families. Universities offered scholarships to their children. Military command began integrating Lost Fleet technology and tactics into Earth's defense forces. Chun found herself working closely with Reeves, helping bridge the gap between the Lost Fleet and Earth's military. They were in a meeting room going over defensive plans when an alert came through. Admiral, we're detecting a Kryloth ship at the edge of the system, the tactical officer reported. Just one ship. It's broadcasting a message. Put it through, Chun ordered. The screen showed a different Kryloth than the overlord they'd faced before. This one looked older, with scars covering its rocky skin. When it spoke, its voice was different too. More careful. I am Ambassador Threk of the Kryloth Dominion. I come with a message for Earth and for the Lost Fleet. The Dominion wishes to discuss peace terms. Chun and Reeves exchanged glances. That was fast, Reeves muttered. We're listening, Chun said. The Dominion recognizes that Earth possesses military capabilities we were not aware of. We also recognize that further conflict would be costly for both sides. We propose a non-aggression treaty. The Dominion will respect Earth's sovereignty and territory. In return, Earth will not pursue Dominion forces outside your system. They're scared, Reeves said quietly. We hurt them badly. They're afraid of what else we might have. Chun activated her mic. The Earth Council will consider your proposal, Ambassador. But understand this, Earth is no longer alone. The Lost Fleet has returned, and we are stronger together than we ever were apart. If the Dominion attacks us again, you won't just be facing Earth's forces. You'll be facing a military that spent 200 years preparing to protect this world. The ambassador's expression was hard to read, but it seemed to understand. We will await your response. The Dominion has learned that humanity is more than we believed. We will not make the mistake of underestimating you again. The transmission ended. Chun turned to Reeves. What do you think? Is this real, or are they buying time? It's real, Reeves said. The Kryloth respect strength. We proved we're stronger than they thought. They'll honor a treaty as long as they believe we can enforce it. Then we need to make sure we stay strong, Chun said. Which means integrating everything the Lost Fleet has to offer. Your technology, your tactics, your people? Reeves nodded. That's going to take time. Our people need to adjust to life where there are planets and gravity and billions of other humans. Your people need to learn to work with technology that's different from what you're used to. We'll figure it out, Chun said. Humanity has always been good at adapting. 6 months later, Admiral Chun stood on the bridge of a new ship. Not the old Defiance, which had been decommissioned and turned into a museum. This was the CNS Unity, a hybrid design that combined Earth's latest technology with Lost Fleet innovations. Around it, a fleet of similar ships floated in formation. Some were purely Earth designs. Some were Lost Fleet ships. Some were new hybrids. Captain Reeves commanded the Persistence, which had been officially integrated into Earth's defense forces. The old ship had been repaired and upgraded, but it still bore its scars proudly. Those scars were a reminder of what it had survived, what it had sacrificed. All ships report ready, Lieutenant Park reported. He transferred to the Unity as Chun's tactical officer. Good, Chun said. Because we've got a mission. The fleet was heading to the border of Kryloth space. Not to attack, but to establish a permanent patrol presence. The peace treaty had held, but both sides knew that peace required vigilance. Earth would watch the Kryloth, and the Kryloth would watch Earth, and as long as both sides stayed strong, there would be no more war. But the Kryloth weren't the only threat. The Lost Fleet's intelligence had shown Chun a galaxy full of dangers. Other empires. Other species? Some friendly, some hostile, many unknown. Earth needed to be ready for all of it. Captain Reeves reports the Lost Fleet contingent is ready to move, Park said. Chun smiled. They'd stopped calling it the Lost Fleet weeks ago. It was just the fleet now. Part of humanity's forces, no longer lost but found. All ships, this is Admiral Chun, set course for the patrol zone. Stay sharp out there. We're not just defending Earth anymore. We're making sure the whole galaxy knows that humanity doesn't back down. That we protect our own. That we never give up, even when we're lost in the dark. She paused, then added, and we never forget our promises. The fleet moved out, Earthborn and Fleetborn working side by side. In the crew quarters, children from both groups played together, the differences between them already starting to fade. In the engineering bays, Earth scientists worked with fleet engineers to develop even better technology. In the command centers, officers from both backgrounds shared knowledge and tactics. Emma, the little girl from the Persistence, was on the Unity with her mother. She'd been accepted into a junior training program, learning to be a sensor operator. When Chun passed her in the corridor, Emma saluted perfectly. Permission to speak, Admiral? Emma asked. Granted, Chun said. My grandmother died before we saved Earth, but I told her story to my class yesterday, about how she worked on the shields for 40 years. My teacher said she was a hero. Your teacher was right, Chun said. I want to be a hero like her someday, Emma said. I want to protect Earth too. Chun knelt down to Emma's level, just like Reeves had done months ago in the garden. You already are, Emma. Every person from the Lost Fleet is a hero. You kept the promise when it would have been easier to give up. You came to save us when you could have stayed hidden and safe. That's what heroes do. Emma smiled brightly and ran off to her duty station. Chun stood and continued to the bridge where Reeves was waiting on the view screen for a tactical meeting. Everything okay? Reeves asked. Everything's perfect, Chun replied. I was just thinking about promises. What about them? Your ancestors made a promise to protect Earth, and they kept it across 200 years. Now we're making a new promise. To protect everyone. To make sure humanity stays strong and united. To honor their sacrifice by being worthy of it. Reeves smiled. It was a real smile now, not the sad, weight-of-the-world smile she'd worn when they first met. I like that promise. Let's make sure we keep it.